So I happened to mention that to a couple of friends that I was going to make some biltong. So they asked me if I could video the process I use. Everyone has different ways of doing it, but this is the way I do it. So I've got some spice, which it's almost run out. So I'm going to make some more. Main ingredient is coriander seeds, which I'll grind down. I also put garlic granules and some crushed chilies, and obviously the main ingredient is salt. I'll also put some black pepper in there as well. So let's get grinding. Don't do it too much, you want quite a coarse grind on those. Obviously salt is going to be the main ingredient, as it's the preservative of the meat. Chili. And finally, just a bit of black pepper. That should be enough for the amount I'm making today. Possibly some for next time as well. So it's time to cut up the meat. I've got a couple of medallion steaks which a friend of mine supplied because he wanted some for himself. There's not much fat on those. I've not used those before, but it should be okay. And then I've got around 1.3 kilos of rump steak. So I'll be cutting those each into half to hang. I've got the hooks in boiling water just to sterilise them. And then we've got some cider vinegar. You can use any vinegar really, but once they're cut, just dip them in the vinegar before coating them in the spice. First thing I'm going to do is just put some vinegar in the bowl. I'm going to start with the medallions. to rinse these. So before I go any further, I'm just going to coat these ones. Okay, so the next step is to just put this in the fridge. Probably going to put it in for 4 or 5 hours, just to give the spices a chance to get in. It also releases some of the juice from the meat, so it's not so wet when you put it in and it drips everywhere. So that can go in the fridge. When it comes to hanging the meat, you can either just make your own box or you can buy one. This one we got in a South African shop in Perth in Australia, and it's pretty simple. There's a fan in the top and 40-watt bulb in the bottom, and it just draws air through, up and out the top. Time to get the meat out of the fridge. See, there's quite a lot of juices come out. So let's get the meat hung. So, time to hang them up. Now, as these ones are for someone else and they're a different cut of meat, I'm going to use these white hangers. Because I haven't got enough, I've actually used some cable ties which have been sterilised so that I can hang them together. Also saves space. Just put that through. Once they're all dry, you're not really going to be able to tell the difference between the meats. So now on to the main cuts. Trying to get the last bits of moisture out on the kitchen roll. Doesn't matter too much, but it just drips all over the bottom of the drying box otherwise. Right, I've got these 2 large bits left. and only one hanger. So I need to just make something up for that. So it's about 2 kilos of meat in there, and that will probably take about 3 days. So that's had about 2.5 days now of drying. There was about 1.35 kilos of raw meat went in there, so going to weigh it all now and just see how much it's reduced during the drying process. Okay. So that's 750 grams, so it's lost around 45% of its weight. One interesting thing to note is that I'd never really thought about the price that you pay for biltong when you go to a South African shop. It's normally around £4 to £6 for 100 grams, and one pack of that rump steak was 225 grams and it was £3.50 for the pack. That 225 grams makes around 125 grams of dried biltong, which is that much. So by the time you've included the spices and stuff, you know, that's going to be probably about £3.70's worth. And you know, to buy that in the shop, in the South African shop, it's probably going to be around £5. So it's not that much cheaper. You know, you think these shops are expensive, but if they're using a good quality meat, they've got to make some money somehow. Still, it's still cheaper and more fun to make it yourself. So let's get cutting. Cut it nice and thin.